Good Saturday morning of the 31st week. We're in St. Luke. But all this has all been part of chapters 15 and 16. These are kind of a wisdom literature here. I wonder if Luke was picking up a bunch of our Lord's sayings, but also some of the wisdom of his time, and he was, in a way, cataloging it. Because some of the stuff doesn't go together, meaning it doesn't fit. You have to take each thing one at a time. I'll show it to you. This opening line, either it's a bad translation or I don't understand it. He says, Jesus said to his disciples, again it's Luke chapter 15. No, chapter 16. I tell you, make friends for yourselves with dishonest wealth. Not honest wealth, dishonest wealth. So that when it fails, you will be welcomed into eternal dwellings. What in the Christmas tree does that mean? I don't know. You take a shot at it and think, if you embrace dishonest wealth and it fails, you know that it was not a true wealth, and now you're open to something greater than that wealth. I think that's what he means. You see, into the eternal dwellings of a true wealth. Now watch what he says here. These are sayings. The person who is trustworthy in very small matters is also trustworthy in great ones. See, these are habits. Those are virtues. This isn't going to be a whole string of virtues now. He's right. The Greeks, you know what? In Luke's audience, they're going to know this stuff coming out. It's the land of Plato and Aristotle. These people are steeped in it. And this is nothing more than good philosophical wisdom, virtue. It's virtue theory. Put it that way, okay? So the person who is trustworthy in small matters, habits of trustworthiness, are also trustworthy in great ones. It's a habit of the heart. The person who is dishonest in very small matters is also dishonest in great ones because it's a habit of vice. That's true. People who cut corners. If you cut them in a small way, you'll also build a habit of taking the shortcut. You'll eventually take the shortcut where it really, really matters. Habits of the heart. Aristotle could have written this thing. I mean, absolutely, in Plato, the ancient Greeks, these guys had this stuff down, okay? Okay? Now, here's a different one now. Watch this line. If, therefore, you are not trustworthy with dishonest wealth, who's going to trust you with true wealth? If you're not trustworthy for, in a sense, false values, then who's going to trust you with true values? If you're not trustworthy with what belongs to another, who will give you what is yours? I don't understand that one at all. If you're not trustworthy with what belongs to another, who will give you what is yours? Oh, I got it. In an exchange economy, you have to have the double trust of both seller and buyer and seller. If you don't trust the seller, you're not going to buy from him. See? If you're not trustworthy with what belongs to another, who will give you what is yours? That's the fair exchange, I guess. This is the most famous line in the whole thing. No servant can serve two masters. He'll either hate one and love the other, or be devoted to one and despise the other. You cannot serve God and mammon. Boy, that's a powerful line. You can't have two masters. Again, the ancient Greeks all knew this stuff. He's talking, in a sense, he's talking to the converted because of their ancient traditions and the Greek the Greek philosophers, habits of the heart. See, you can't. He personalized you cannot serve God and mammon. But what he's saying here about the mastery, that is just true of habits. See, if you want, right. No servant can serve two masters. He'll either hate one and love the other, or devoted to one and despise the other. If you love what is good and true and beautiful, you'll act accordingly in every aspect of life. If you don't, you won't. I'll give you an example of it. If you're deeply committed to love and the fidelity that goes with love, active fidelity to the people you love, especially your spouse and your spouse, your family. Okay, if you're deeply committed, you will never breach that contract, the contractual part of that relationship, and it wouldn't even cross your mind. You would never think of being unfaithful to your wife or husband, let alone be abusive of your children. It would never cross your mind because you have habits of fidelity. But if you don't, if you're selfish, you're out for yourself, then you're going to ask this question of every relationship: what's in it for me? And once you ask that question, what's in it for me, all bets are off. Because in that case, fidelity will never be present, because what you're not faithful to those whom you love and be loved by. You're faithful only to your own interests. You're only faithful to what will bring you satisfaction on your terms. You're guaranteed going to fail. You're guaranteed going to fail. You're going to die a lonely life. Anybody who's been in the counseling business, okay? I've done my share over 50 years, okay? Counseling. Let alone if you're if you're a psychologist or a psychiatrist, dealing very professionally at that. I'm a clergyman. My thing is, well, I'm not an amateur. I told you about that therapist in Louisville wanted me to partner with him. He said I was a better diagnostician than he was. But whatever, see? Whatever. Anyone in the racket of human is in the business of human behavior knows how important habits are, virtues and vices, and knows that how hard it is to convert one from the other. If one is out for themselves, God help whoever is their partners in life. But if one is faithful, that person will never be unfaithful because it's abhorrent to them. I hope when I die, and the only thing I hope God will say to me, I hope he says, you have loved me and you've loved the people I have given you. You have loved them well. You have been faithful. Your way. Thank you, Frankie Sinatra. He's singing in the background. Your way, but you were faithful. You were faithful. I hope so. Not in any legalistic sense or external sense, but you are faithful in the heart, the fidelity of the heart. You loved well, imperfectly, but you have loved imperfectly well. You always loved as best you could. You always sought to be a good, loving man. I hope that's true. I hope that's what he's got to say to me. I mean that, because the first and the most important of the commandments, the second, love your neighbor, okay, but for Christ, love one another as I have loved you. And I hope he'll say you've done okay. You did all right. For a kid from New Haven, you didn't do badly. You loved well those I gave you. You loved well. You were faithful. When my friend June died, the last words she said to me, you are faithful. If I had to pick any words out in any language on earth, those are the most consoling words for me. You are faithful. She was talking probably about me visiting her every day in the hospital, but nah, it was about our lives together, her and her family, friends actively together. You are faithful. Junie knew me really well. I think she knew that that's what really mattered to me. Have I loved you well, and your family, your husband? Have I loved you well? Yeah. I think that's the question Christ's going to ask us when we die. Have you loved well? Not did you keep your nose clean, but did you love well? Those I have given you.